أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم. I had said that we will start the new series of new discussion. I'll start uh, and I will discuss the concept of Muharram. What is Muharram? We just everybody usually talks about Muharram as a month, and it is just a month or a part of it as a month of lamentation, matam, uh, and so many other things surrounding the concept of Muharram. But let us see what the Quran tells us about Muharram. What is Muharram? I'm not talking only about only from faith. I'm just trying to place the facts before you from Quran and also from history and also from international law and practices. These two things, international law and practices. So along with this, the discussion will come up about the Masjid al-Haram, Muharram, and then we will go to the discussion of Masjid al-Haram. So let us see that what are the important points which come up, which will come up for discussion. I'm again submitting humbly that now I'm not talking from my faith or from any perspective of any sect, but it is a much wider discussion which relates to history, to international law, law and practices, and so many other things surrounding it. The Quran uses the words Ashhar, Ashharul Haram. Then Ibrahim alayhi salam calls it Baitik Muharram. Masjid al-Haram is also called Baitika Muharram. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself calls it Baitul Baiti. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls it Baiti, and Ibrahim alayhi salam calls it Baitika Muharram. It's also called Masjid al-Haram. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not used the word in the Quran. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not used the word Baitullah or Kaabatullah. There must be a reason for that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically owns it and as a possession shows that it is Baiti. And Ibrahim alayhi salam also calls it Baitika, not as Baitullah or Kaabatullah. What is the reason? And then Masjid al-Haram. These things will come up for discussion, will come under reference. Then the difference between Ashhar and Shuhur. Quran uses the word Ashhar and Quran also uses the word Shuhur for plural. Shuhur. Here, let me highlight it. It uses the word Shuhur, but at the same time, it uses the word Ashhar, which has also been translated as a plural Ashhar and then Shuhur. So kindly keep these things in mind. And then before I go to the legal discussion, the discussion about the historical aspects, I will just mention only a couple of ayat and then we'll go to the to other discussion. But most of the ayat we will discuss afterwards, not now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Ashharul Haram Bisharil Haram. Same month which has been declared inviolable, which cannot be violated. The same month has to be for the same month. We cannot substitute it. The kuffar were substituting it. And then its violation has been termed as kufr. And then its punishment, which has been mentioned, it is very terrible. And then another aspect is that the terrible punishment of fire is not just for a time, it is for whole of the eternal life in the context of the eternal life which the man will get in the hereafter, Khalidun. And then there is a qisas if there is a violation of the hurmat. Now, these are the why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is placing so much emphasis on this. We are reading Quran mostly just for sabab. We have not derived hikmat why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using this. The Prophet, peace be upon him, collected the people, the chiefs and around Kaaba, and told them that say La ilaha illallah and you will rule the world. These are the principles on the basis of which the international law, international practices, world powers, and so many other things depend on. And then it has also been linked with the taqwa. If you fear God, then you will be doing this thing. You will be conscious of this. If you are not conscious of these things, it means you are not conscious of Allah. And we violated Muharram. It is not, there are many aspects of Karbala, but the major, I think the most important, the main aspect is the violation of Muharram. Muharram itself. That is the violation which created Karbala. Qisas, violation, is legal retribution. This is not my translation. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَفَرْمَاتْ qisas, this qisas is a legal term. In hudud laws, it is a legal term. In Islamic jurisprudence, qisas is a legal term. It's not a social term or sociology. Not just for sabab reading this. It is a legal term. So what is the legal philosophy behind this qisas? And then that leads us to many other things. In another ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of its importance, initiating the discussion himself, asking the Prophet that people are asking you, telling the Prophet that people are asking you, yasalunaka. They are asking you about Shahr al-Haram, and tell them that they are asking you about the qital, the war, the battle, or anything which leads to qital during this Shahr al-Haram. They are asking you about that. Tell them that qital fihi kabir. It is not just an ordinary matter. Qital fihi kabir. That is why I say that the aspect of Karbala, which we have totally ignored, we have not discussed this under the aspects of international law, that the violation was the violation of Muharram. That is why and how the Karbala happened. So qital fihi kabir. It is kabir, not an ordinary offense. It's not just a sin. It is not just ism. It's not just an ordinary udwan. It is not just an ordinary conflict. It's something much, much bigger than that. And this is the ayat 217 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Because of its importance, I have quoted brought the whole ayat. We usually stop here, but qital fi kabir. It's not just one thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has further clarified and explained, brought over to our notice other aspects of it. Were Sadd an Sabilillah and its violation, were Masjid al-Haram, were Ikhraj ahlihi minhu, ahli, whosoever is there, whosoever has taken refuge there, Maqam Ibrahim. The Maqam Ibrahim will also come under discussion. Whosoever has taken refuge, who has been granted peace, expelling them. It's Akbar. This is also called Akbar in the law of Allah, with Allah, not only in the international law, but in the divine law. Divine law, these aspects are Kufr Akbar, and then Fitna, and then Fitnat Akbar. And this Fitna is even greater than Qatl. Now, these are the things which lead to violation of Masjid al-Haram. They lead to the Shahr al-Haram. These are the elements, if done during this time, they aggravate the situation more. And then it is compared with the Fitna Akbar, and it is then compared with Qital. It is greater than that. And what is the punishment? As I said, violation of Muharram, violation of anything which is Muharram, which is haram, declared as haram, it's violation. Not in the sense of eating, this is something different. Shahr al-Haram. They lose all their deeds, which means they lose all their good deeds also. Hundreds of thousands of nawafil, hundreds of thousands of salah, song, umrah, hajj. فَأُولَٰئِكَ حَبِطَتْ أَعْمَالُهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. The entire book is obliterated. وَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ. The punishment is declared here. أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ and هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ, forever, forever. So if this is the level of punishment and this is the level of loss, then it means that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the kufr of this thing, violation of Shahr al-Haram, violation of Muharram, violation of the month or any month which has been declared Muharram, that will also be, we'll see what is Muharram. Then we have to take this entire ayat into consideration. So I'm not going to discuss this entire ayat, but I've invited your attention that what is the importance of this month which is called Muharram. Now, before we go to other ayats to understand and discuss further, let us see what is the international law and practice. This will then clear our concept when we come to discuss the ayat, what is the concept of Maqam Ibrahim, what is the concept of those people who go there to take refuge, for peace. They go to take refuge, asylum. People come to America to take asylum. At that time, it was a place of asylum. It was not the only place. There were other places also. We'll discuss that. And then we will also see the 4 months, which have been declared as Muharram. It's not 1 month. 4 months are Muharram, not 1 month. Why we have restricted to 1 month? And why we have further restricted it to lamentation? And why we have we are discussing it just from the perspective of sawab and not as not an element of hikmat. Hikmat is wisdom. You can govern the world. You can govern your own community. You can govern your own self. These are different words which are used nowadays. You must be hearing with reference to Gaza that the ceasefire is being discussed, pause is being discussed. So what all these things, armistice, truce, pause, tranquility, these are legal terms. International law, terms of international law. Ceasefire, cessation of hostilities, display of white flag, these are legal terms. And all these terms are covered in the concept of Muharram. All these concepts, all these things are covered in Muharram, but we have completely ignored it. We don't think that Muharram, 4 months which are Muharram, 4 months which are Muharram, they are giving the lesson about these things. Cessation of hostilities, ceasefire, don't fight. After that, you can again resume after these 4 months. And what are these 4 months? We'll discuss that also, but from Quran. In a few words, I've tried to explain this in less legal terms or in less technical terms, so that when these come up, I'll explain further. The explanations will also come up. But what is armistice? It is an agreement in war to stop fighting. It is a Muharram period. During war, they reach an agreement for a certain time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed it, made it obligate. Ceasefire is not taking place in Gaza. They are not able to agree on that. But if the Islamic law is being practiced as an international law, then when any of the months of the months out of these 4 months, which are Muharram, the fight has to be stopped, whether there is an agreement or not. This is the agreement with God. Misak, it is Misak with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has taken the Misak, as he had taken Misak from Yehudis. Stop fighting. And then what is truce? It is the suspension of hostilities. Will not do anything new. Here on one side, they are a couple of times there has been a ceasefire which has been declared. But on the one side, they declared that there is ceasefire, and the same night, the same day, in a couple of days, all this during all this time, they keep on bombarding. They initiate new hostilities. So it means armistice is violated, and then the truce is violated. Then what is pause? Particularly, for example, these days, one of leader in from India, he says that there is a pause in war between Pakistan and India. He uses the word pause. Whatever it is, I'm not commenting on that, but I'm trying just to explain. If we have the concept of 4 months as Muharram, this is automatically included. What is that? Pause in fighting may be for humanitarian purposes, as in Gaza. People are appealing. United Nations Security Council and others, they have passed so many resolutions, General Assembly, that there should be a humanitarian pause. If not truce, if not armistice, if not ceasefire, at least there should be a humanitarian pause. What is that? That we'll discuss. Humanitarian pause. And or for political process, so that the negotiations can take place. So these 4 months, 4 Muharram months, they are for political process, for negotiation to make the settlement, so that we don't have to go to the war again. And then it includes the pause for delivery of goods, humanitarian pause. We find that during those 4 months, the history shows in Makkah, particularly around Makkah, whenever there was a pause of these months, the trade will resume. The trade would resume. People come to the cities. They will bring their goods. And then not only the communication, but the supply chain is restored. Tranquility. Tranquility is the tranquility of order, well-ordered concord. It is in such a manner that after that, no soldier, no person will fire anything, not even a cracker. In theology, in divine law, For example, Christians also believe in this. So far as Torah is concerned, they believe in this, but they don't practice. Divine order imposed on universe and universe. What is this tranquility? Tranquility is that the entire universe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is working in tranquility. Ta'an karhan, ta'an bakarhan, constrained and unconstrained. It is operating in such a manner that we don't feel any friction between sun and the moon, between moon and the earth, in the galaxies. We don't even feel the earth is revolving. There is a rotation. We don't even feel that. There's a complete calm, tranquility in the universe. So many things moving, interacting. Tranquility is the principle on which the universe is working. And in politics, it is the theoretical framework for peace. Theoretical framework for peace. Muharram provides this framework for peace. Muharram, the concept of Muharram in Quran provides the framework for peace. And in ceasefire, it is the stoppage of war to suspend aggressive actions. We will not be the first to fire. We will not commit any aggression. We will not violate your border. We will not violate the terms of the armistice, of the truce, of the pause, of the ceasefire. We will not violate it. And all this is included in Muharram. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it is from me. It is obligatory. I have given the laws for this. And if you violate that, I will take you to task. And the punishment is hellfire. And the hellfire, Khalidun, forever. Then cessation of hostilities is for suspending the hostilities for negotiations. This is included in the concept of Muharram, so that it leads to the treaty. Display of white flag. One side wishes, this is the wish from one side, to enter into communication with the other. Communication with the other. This is just a gesture. And Quran says, whenever there's a gesture of peace, even in the battlefield, you are winning. But there is a flag, white flag. Somebody raises the hands. You can't shoot him. You can't kill him. You can't continue the fight. You have to stop. You have to accept the white flag. Then it becomes Muharram. It all becomes Muharram. Then you have to talk, negotiate. Even if you are winning, you have to stop there. This is such a concept. That is why this deen is called Islam. Security, peace, safety, salamati, peace, Islam, salam. United Nations Security Council and General Assembly can suggest different actions out of these, like they are suggesting in Gaza, truce, ceasefire, cessation of hostilities, and so on during the war. But one person, Netanyahu, is not accepting. He's not agreeing. Israeli government is not accepting. The entire world is on one side. Calls made by United Nations General Assembly are suggestions. They reflect general will of United Nations member states. But here is a difference in the divine law, in the theology, which we have discussed here. It is not just a recommendation. It is not just a desire. It is the order, obligation from God. It is divine. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used the word in the law, with Allah, under the law of Allah. He will take to the task himself. He will take to account himself. And on that day, deen is only for Allah. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin. On that day, he is the Malik of the deen, of the law, dispensation of law, adjudication, recompensation. Recompense, it will be from her, from him, from his side. It will be from him. UN Security Council decisions are binding. That is why every time US is using veto, all the members are on one side and one member is on the other side. Because the decision has to be taken by, has to be from all members. UN Security Council is not taking decision, unanimous decision, so that it could be implemented. Now, a little more discussion, no explanation, so that we know that how it is included in the concept of Muharram. Whether you agree to it or not, but the Muharram is there, it is in Quran, it is already there. Now I request you at this stage, why Muslims have reached this stage? People call it Islamic history. Well, how it is Islamic history? Take the period of any Muslim, Umayyads, right from Yazid, start from there, even Muawiyah, up to the present day. Has any Muslim empire, has any Muslim state in history kept the sanctity of the month of Muharram? Months of Muharram, 4 months of Muharram, which are Muharram, 4 months are Muharram, not 1 month, 4 months are Muharram. You make the list and you will find that there had been wars, violations during all these 4 months. Truce is the suspension of hostilities. Truce is not binding, it is halt and fighting. But in the concept of Muharram, it is binding. The laws which have been made under the present system by the United Nations, on the platform of United Nations, under its umbrella, it is not binding. That is why the violation is taking place. But there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in the law, it is from Allah. He is seeing it. If you have made a truce, you can't violate truce. If you have made a pause, you can't violate a humanitarian pause, you cannot violate it. Here in Gaza, what is happening? On the one hand, there is a humanitarian pause declared by United Nations. And that on those persons who go to seek food, they are being bombarded. Violation of truce, violation of food. Pause, humanitarian pause. Truce agreements are made by belligerents themselves. Therefore, they violate themselves. But here, the law is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't violate it. Truce can take place in one specific geographic area. For example, at one point, in one segment of the geography, at one place of border conflict. These agreements can come and go over course of conflict and do not indicate that the state of war is over. The war is going on. Pause is taking place. Violations are taking place during that pause. And even after that or during that period, the war is going on. Negotiations are not taking place. Negotiation has been separated from this. International Committee of Red Cross uses the term truce, and it has a meaning. With certain meaning, it is using the word truce interchangeably with the term suspension of hostility. But I have made it separately. I have shown it separately. Otherwise, Red Cross is using word truce and suspension of hostilities interchangeably. According to this Red Cross, a truce should enable work to be done and is related to the general conduct of war. Kindly go back and we will read the ayat which pertain to the months of which are Muharram, what it requires, what to do during those 4 months, what to do during those 4 months. All this charter is given there. Removal of wounded, burial of dead, exchange of prisoners is also part of it. Study Battle of Badr. There we might understand it. What even ladies were doing in that battlefield. Hazrat Aisha herself, her sister Asma herself, other people gave military commanders time to ask for instructions regarding negotiation. Unlike humanitarian pause, truce can be called for any reason, any political reason, any economic reason, any humanitarian reason, anything. Kindly keep all these things in mind when we will discuss those ayat pertaining to those 4 months, what we have to do. These things will, then we'll be able to understand. Otherwise, we are only understanding sawab, reading for sawab, whether it is being implemented or not. Violation taking place in the Muslim states themselves. Cessation of hostilities is a call for cessation of hostilities is considered more formal than truce. Unlike ceasefire, it is non-binding. Ceasefire is binding. That is why they are not agreeing to it. It will become binding. So Security Council is not passing a resolution. Veto is being used. This cessation of hostilities is non-binding. That is why we find that there is a pause, there's a truce, but the bombardment is also going on the civilians, even on the civilians. Cessation of hostilities means one or both sides have announced to suspend fighting. Even though both sides are declaring, but still people are violating. And usually one side, which is mightier, they violate it always. These can lead to peace negotiations. If there is a cessation, if there is cessation of hostilities, this can lead to negotiations. But Muharram, concept of Muharram is more comprehensive. Then humanitarian pause, according to United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, humanitarian pause is considered temporary cessation of hostilities purely for humanitarian purposes. These pauses are usually for a defined period of time, sometimes only for a few hours, even for a few hours. I have myself seen this. During my training, because we were taken to the border for showing these things practically happening, there was a truce. There was cessation of hostilities between India and Pakistan. It was the Poonch border, Chidikot area, on the Kashmir border. On Kashmir border, this was the area where we were taken to show that. On that day, they had concluded, they had agreed between themselves that during these people who are visiting, who are visitors, they are coming for a study to see the actual situation, how it is taking place, so that further negotiations can take place. And we were there for about a couple of hours, and the cessation of hostilities, because of the cessation of hostilities, there was no fire. But as soon as we left, we could hear that the fight had resumed. These things do happen during the battlefield, on the battlefield. But here in Gaza, we find that everything is being violated. And these things are included in the concept of Haram, Muharram, Shahr al-Muharram, place Muharram, which is called Muharram Masjid al-Haram, Maqam Ibrahim. There's a concept. only for a few years and in a specific geographic area where humanitarian activities are to take place. Humanitarian pause may allow aid to get into specific areas of conflict. Aid. I think I leave the discussion here because this is more, this will take more time. So, kind of keep these things in mind because when we discuss ayat, these will become clear that what are the concepts which are embedded in these ayat pertaining to the concept of Muharram. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وبفضلك عمن سواك. اللهم بفضلك ورحمتك أعلي كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وعز المسلمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, purify our hearts, strengthen our faith, increase our knowledge, and make us benefit from what you have taught us. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. Oh Allah, grant to all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them, and make them righteous. Oh Allah, grant us the power and the ability that we may be grateful for the favors you have bestowed upon us and our parents, and that we may do righteous deeds that are pleasing to you. Oh Allah, we seek from you all of the good, whether we know it or we don't. And we seek your refuge from all evil, whether we know it or we don't. Oh Allah, we seek refuge in you from incapacity, from laziness, from fear, from greed, from poverty, and from the torment of the grave. Oh Allah, we have many of our brethren who are living under oppression and injustice. Oh Allah, heal their trauma, protect their helpless, and grant them lasting peace and prosperities. Oh Allah, we ask with every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.